Tell us what you're getting ready to do for us.
Okay, I've already got it centered, and I'm going to start to make a little vase here, and hopefully it'll turn out right.
Well, first of all, I hope it turns out well as also. But tell us what school you go to, what grade you're in.
Okay, I go to Blair Middle School. I'm in 8th grade.
Who is your art teacher at Blair?
Miss Taylor.
Miss Taylor?
Yeah.
And right now you all are working in pottery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the students in the class, we have to sign up for it, and we just kind of do it on separate days.
On separate days?
Yeah.
What is it that interests you about pottery?
Well, it's a way of expressing to make interesting curves and shapes, and it's fun to work with the different glazes and making glazes and changing the colors and all that stuff.
Is there any one piece that you've made that you like the most?
Yeah, at home I have this thing that I used this method where I threw a tall bowl and coil built, and then connected the coils, and I threw this tall jar, and I made a crystal glaze to go on it, and the glaze grows these crystals in the glaze, and that's my favorite one. And my mom kind of confiscated it as soon as she saw it.
That's understandable. Why don't you give us a demonstration of what you do, Steve? Now, are you working with clay, or is this another
This
material?
is porcelain. This is a very fine porcelain. All right, I'm just gonna true it up here.
You have to talk loud for us so we can really hear you.
Okay.
What is some of the process that you go through when you're trying to make some pottery?
All right, first I'm gonna finish centering this, and then I'll kind of take this finger and make a mark of where I'm gonna open it up to make a hole in it. And then I kind of just get my thumb centered over the top of it, and I start going in. And I use my this part of my hand to keep it centered while I'm going in.
I think our camera's getting this. He's making a hole in the center of it now. And why is it that you do that?
Well, first you make a hole in the center, and then after you do that, you got very thick walls. And then basically after that, you just go through the process of thinning the walls out, and when you're thinning it, the pot gets taller. So you just thin it out and it gets taller.
Okay.
Just straighten this out here.
I see you using your hands. Are there any other instruments that you use?
Oh yeah, on the outside, if it starts to get a little wobbly on the outside, this is called a potter's rib.
Potter's what?
Rib.
Rib, okay.
And you take this and you kind of hold the opening with your thumb and true the outside up with the rib.
So it's sort of a trimmer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it straightens the outside out, and it's like aids the outside of it. So now I'll just...
Did you get interested in pottery as a result of taking a class, or did you have an interest prior to going to school? Was it something that you learned from a parent, a friend, or something like that?
Yes. When I went to Camp Estella, Robert Davis introduced me to pottery. I asked him if I could work on a wheel, and I had to convince him that I was really interested in it. And at first I just wanted to make flower pots for my mom. But then it just kind of I got more interested in it. I started making vases and bowls and stuff that I could sell.
So it's profitable.
Oh yeah.
As well as fun.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing there.
All right, now I'm going to try to bring the wall up.
Right now what's happening is that you're literally raising this thing, right?
Yeah, I'm using the inside of this finger and kind of my knuckle on this finger. And I try to keep equal pressure so the wall stays even.
Okay. Is there any other type of material that you use other than porcelain?
Yeah, I use stoneware to make. Sometimes I throw big forms and I alter them with the rib. I'll shut the wheel off and kind of make facets in the side and alter the shape a little bit and make sculpture out of it.
Okay.
But mostly when I'm making vases, I use porcelain.
Okay. And once you're finished with this, you would have to bake it.
Yeah, we use a kiln, and this type of porcelain, I'm not sure what cone this is, but usually the porcelain that I use will go to cone 10, and that's 2,381 degrees Fahrenheit.
Pretty hot, huh?
Yeah, it's real hot. And that makes it almost translucent. It almost turns it into glass. That's why porcelain's so neat.
Okay. All right, I'll tell you what, we're going to take it back to the desk with Danny and Sharon, and hopefully before the end of the show, we can see the final result of this. Stephen, Chris, thanks a lot. Continue to do a lot of great work. Look like you've made some progression since we've last talked there, Steve.
Yeah, I raised the walls and made a little jar out of this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a little lip so the lid can sit on the top. So I'm going to use the square edge on my potter's rib and make a little lip on the top here.
Now, when you're working with porcelain, clay, pottery, how quickly do you have to work with this? Is this something that has to be swift in the production of it because of material drying up on you?
Not because of it drying up, but because it'll get too wet. If working on it too long and keep on putting water on it, the clay will get too mushy, and it'll just fall down. It won't hold its shape anymore.
Ah.
It'll turn right like into mud.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you making for us?
All right. Well, this is going to be a little jar. I'm going to put a little lip on here so the lid sits inside this little lip, and later on I'll just throw a little lid and set it on there and be flat. And maybe I'll put some handles on it and other decorations.
How will you know the dimensions and size to make of the lid for your jar?
Well, what I do is when I'm throwing the lid, I look at my potter's rib and I kind of clean it off real good, and I put it next to this and I kind of make a mark with the clay and measure it like that. It's real crude. And if it doesn't fit, you can usually later on trim it to fit.
Okay. Do you also use your instrument there to smoothen out the outside of it?
Yeah, in order to make the walls even, the top of this, and when you're making a jar, you make the top a little bit thicker than the wall because it gets hassled around a lot and people drop the lids on. You don't want it to break, so the top is usually a little bit thicker. And I just use this to make the walls even and smooth the outside out.
What does creating pottery do for you, Steve?
Well, it's kind of relaxing, and you can kind of make whatever you want, make mugs, and it's fun when you're making the glaze and you can figure out what color you're going to make, because I make my own glazes and I mix the ingredients and weigh out the materials. And kind of, it's interesting to see what you come out with when you fire the last glaze firing, when you fire all your pieces.
Okay. It looks like it's taking form there.
Yeah.
We'll check back in one more time, hopefully, before we leave. We're going to go back over to Danny and Sharon.
Okay, Greg, thank you very much. And Chris, you too, and Stephen, of course, you too. That pot is coming along. I think it's starting to look very nice. Stephen, just off the record, would you glaze that with something, or because it's porcelain, you leave it pretty much its natural color?
Well, the inside I'll put clear glaze on, and the outside I have this crystalline glaze that I put on, and it has like a background, and these little like snowflake crystals grow in the glaze when you fire it.
So not only a lovely objet d'art, but it's also very functional. It's going to have a top that keeps sugar and any number of things that I really do enjoy seeing them do their work. Can you imagine a world without art?
Not at all.